do you think? That's a little bit. Oh, you don't care?
If I can get in this chair, I'm gonna.
Oh, is that okay?
That's good.
All right.
That's good. Well, we are back at Jan's.
And thank you, Dave. This is the last breakfast.
This is probably gonna wipe out that Benjamin and
yeah. But we've been enjoying it.
Yeah, and
Here's
we
to
thank
you,
you. We thank you. Yeah. Oh, that means it's incumbent. Yeah. It occurred to me that it's incumbent upon me to purchase the next breakfast.
You know, I was just hoping that you'd catch the fact that I'm rambling, and then all of a sudden, yeah, Jan's is great.
I'm reading this. I'm going, yeah, blah blah blah, whatever, blah blah, yeah. Oh, okay, Jan, good. Okay.
Yeah. I'm nuts.
I'm like, oh, jeez. Oh, he's on one of his.
No.
It
just struck me when you said it occurred to me, and I'm like, you know, we say that all the time and not even think about it. It occurred to me.
And then it's like, just stand there and look pretty.
Yeah, and I'm like, I am pretty.
You got new knees?
Yeah, no problem. That was no problem. I have to stand out there because as soon as I sit down, like, want to sit on one of those rocking chairs, you know, on the porch like you're supposed to do down in the South. And every dog, cat, raccoon, possum wants to come and sit in your lap, you know, and I'm like, yeah. And I love my big dog, but, and Tia has the same problem. That's why I like her. I just don't like lovey-dovey animals. I want, I like it to a certain extent, but, you know, don't be like Gus, you know, you pet him and then he slobbers, and it's like, oh, I don't like that kind of loving. But anyhow, big dog's that way. He's just, come on, love on me. And I'm like, I don't want to.
The slobber dog. Yeah.
So, yeah, and he brings his nose up to it, and I'm like, I got to stand up so I can, you know, bide my time waiting for you. So, but we're at Jan's.
We're at Jan's.
One of our favorite places.
And Miss Jan is out today.
Yeah.
What was she saying?
She had some surgery. So
oh, okay.
I hope it wasn't brain surgery because she's got a great brain.
She's smart girl. She's smart girl. Yeah, we had a delightful lunch yesterday. I'm sorry you guys didn't make it. It was a delightful lunch, and I was telling Shirley about, you know, your knee surgeries and stuff, and how you bounce back, and you got like 19-year-old knees now.
Yep.
And
I've got other things that are 19-year, kind of 19-year-old.
Still ugly as a mud fence, but he's got pretty knees now.
I'm pretty.
Yeah. Anyway, she was saying that, you know, one of her friends has got a knee that's going bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was telling her, you know, you had both yours done at the same time. She was taken back. Wow, usually they don't do that, do they?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I mean, not.
I thought
I mean, it's not. Well, it's the way I understand
for their yacht.
The way I understand it is, if one knee doesn't need it, they're not going to do it. Okay.
That makes sense.
And a lot of times that's what the situation is. But you know, I have realized every time I get up to go somewhere, or I go up the stairs and down the stairs like normal people. I mean, I remember how much trouble I was having when we went to Greece and to Barcelona.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're staying at Airbnbs, and you know, these things have steps and stuff like that, and I'm having trouble.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, I'm going to get through it.
Push through.
Yeah. And that's what I've been doing, and now I realize now I'm having to teach myself to not, like, I hated to walk across the yard because of all the little divots and stuff like that, you know.
Right.
And I would, you know, step on, you know, and now I'm having to make myself realize you don't have to worry about that anymore. You can walk all you want, you know.
Yeah.
And divots or not, you know, and because I'm not going to get the pain. And I try every day to thank Liz, because I'll go down the stairs and I'll look at her and I'll say, "Thank you, sweetie." And she's like, "For what?" "For making me get my knees done." She's like, "I told you."
Well,
I give her the chance to say, "I told you so."
Yeah, and Retta has a bad knee, and she's going in for her consultation to have knee surgery.
Is she here?
Yeah, Retta and Lynn.
Oh.
My bandmate.
Do you know where she's going?
Texarkana. No. I don't know. Texarkana, I think. Or Hot Springs.
Hot Springs. That would be the doctor that I went to.
Yeah.
Because that guy, I told you what I did to him, right? I told you a story about my doctor.
Yeah.
The knee doctor, about how he's a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
His dad made all of the kids, the boys, become Eagle Scouts before they could get their driver's license.
All right.
And so I'm in the room that they prep you and all that stuff, and I look at him. I said, hey, humor me. He goes, yeah, what is it? Because he's talking to me and everything. I says, I need you to quote the first 2 lines of the Boy Scout oath. And he looks at me. And he's like, on my honor, I'll do my best. I went, that's all I want to hear from you. And
That's so classic.
He started laughing. And I'm like, hey man, it's important.
That's epic. I mean, that's all I need to hear.
Yeah.
I want you to believe what you just said.
Yeah, that's
too.
exactly right.
That's it.
And I think, I mean, judging by my recovery, I think he watched out pretty closely. I'm hoping.
He
I don't
did.
know. All I remember is looking at this lady. The operating room was big and bright, of course. And I don't know, maybe they're doing 3 or 4 knees at one time.
At the same time.
Yeah, why not?
It was like a production center.
But I'm looking around and I'm looking at this one lady. She's all dressed up like the doctor was. They're completely covered, and all this, and that's all I remember is looking at her and waking up, So
Yeah, so Retta's going to get her knee done.
well, if she's going to Dr. Young's, she's got a good one, a real good one.
I'll ask her. We're getting together next Saturday, and I'll ask her who her doctor is. I remember.
I'm sorry about those songs. I thought they were in the box with all the tapes of Dad, and there might be one in there that it wasn't marked, so that might be it. I don't have a cassette, so to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. My truck has a cassette. I'll listen to it on the cassette player.
Okay.
And see, I'll just sit out in the truck and listen. So about my truck, I got to tell you this. I bought new headlights for it, the whole thing, because it's a 2001 Lariat, right? And it's like, I bought it because it was a pretty boy truck up in Minnesota,
Yeah. Something you don't take off the pavement.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. Well, up there, think about it. I mean, I bought this in White Bear Lake, Minnesota.
Wow.
And I bought it there, and pretty, it was all pretty and everything. And I was telling Liz, I said, yeah, I'm kind of proud of this truck. It was well taken care of. And I says, this is a pretty boy truck. He takes it out and probably an executive in Minneapolis and drives it in every day, on the pavement. It's probably never been on the dirt, so that's one of the reasons I got it. But I changed the light, the whole
Now
thing.
the whole assembly,
Yeah.
the lens and
I
everything?
changed the whole assembly out because the other ones were getting, sun faded,
Sure.
and great, it worked good. Except the fact is I just couldn't get the darn things to adjust, and so and I just assumed, hey, they're pre-adjusted and everything. No, they're not, and I can't seem to. I know how to adjust them. I got to get a tool for it. I've got to have the fancy tool for it, and I don't.
What, it's not like a Phillips screw or
No.
something? No, you got to use a 26 star.
No, this thing is you got to get one of those little wrenches, and it's 10 millimeter, and it's a ratcheting wrench.
Oh, okay.
So anyhow, long story short,
I bet you can find one on eBay.
I probably should be
Probably
looking,
can barter.
but
I got some old clubs.
no, I already sold those.
Oh, you already sold them.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, left-hand clubs, man. There's not a lot of southpaws out there, and people are looking for maybe a starter set, because that's what I said. Hey, I even mentioned in the description, this is a great set for that southpaw in the family.
Little Junior.
Be a little junior, let's get him on the PGA.
Or Little Junior S.
So anyhow, it was it's already going to Austin. So, but and I didn't, like I said, I probably paid $2 for them.
Right.
You know, if you look at the overall package of what I bought, you know, and my Leon. Now that was important. Boy, that made Liz happy.
Well, it's another Christmas, Hickey.
Yeah. Yeah, I took it right out to where all the Christmas stuff and threw it up there. There you go.
That goes in storage shed 4.
So did I tell you?
Right next to the reindeer.
Yeah. Did I tell you I got my tractor at Rogers?
Yeah. I talked to Mark at Bible study the other day. He got a job at in Dequeen at Pilgrims.
Oh.
And he's working like a swing shift, and he's kind of a QC kind of guy.
Yeah.
So it's not impacting him physically.
Right.
The job. So anyway, so we changed our Bible study from Tuesday evening to Tuesday at noon, and when he came in, he goes, "Yeah, your brother told me not to come."
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
Well, what? You wouldn't have said, yeah. He took it to Rogers. Yeah, he says he was taking it to Rogers. And I said, well, did he offer any explanation as to why? He says, yeah, he didn't want me out there on it, due to my health.
Yep,
I said,
that's the whole reason.
I said, he's just looking out for you.
I don't doubt his capacity to be a good maintenance guy. Thank you.
Yeah. So he told me that. At first, the way he explained it, it's like, yeah, your brother didn't want me out there. I'm like, wait a minute. Something doesn't sound right with that tone. And then he explained it and further explained himself. I'm going, oh, okay.
Would you like to smile for the camera? Here, get right between us here.
Just get in here.
Look at that food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now the whole world knows you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, kind of. No, kind of the whole world. Our world.
So Rogers is gonna.
Yeah,
he's gonna fix it up.
I don't. Back in the day, I wouldn't hesitate to get after that thing, and I have worked on it before, but this time I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with it, and I put a new solenoid on, and that just seemed to make it worse. So I'm not sure exactly what the game is. So I thought I'll just take it to him. He'll get it right, and now I got to buy a new bush hog. I don't know if you noticed around the place. I haven't bush hogged in 2 years. This is my second year. And
I thought you just bought this bush hog.
No, it was given to me and I fixed it. So look at that. That is fancy.
That's a fancy butter knife.
Yeah, that's fancy knife to get your oleo off. Oleo.
Well, I tell you what, that arthritis in my hands is getting worse and worse and worse.
Isn't that a problem for drummers?
Yeah, it's a real problem for drummers.
Yeah, it's not carpal tunnel or anything, because I know that's bad for, drummers get those. No, I get that too. I've got it right now myself.
Yeah, it's right in here.
I hate that.
It's right in here. I used to, because computer stuff, I get carpal on my hands, or wrists.
So Liz gets this, and I've had it before too. You ever just get your finger to just do this?
Yeah, it just sticks.
Just stop it. Stop it. Well, Liz gets that.
Karen has this problem.
Yeah, okay.
Her sticks.
Yeah. So, remember when I was doing the soup kitchen, and this friend of mine, she was sitting next to me, and, she's a good Christian girl and all this stuff, and she was talking about, I'm going in to have my hands looked at. And I said, so what's going on? She says, well, they lock up. I'll be just sitting there, and this finger will just do like that. And I said, I have the same problem. She goes, really? And I says, yeah. I'll just be sitting there, and my finger will just... She goes, you're so bad. I'm like, to the bone, baby.
Yeah, Karen, this finger of hers sticks. It'll stick up, and she literally has to get her other hand and push it down, and get it released.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting there at the kitchen counter, and all of a sudden this will start seizing up, and I'll have to put my hands down like this. That wasn't me. So yeah, I've got the same problem, but this dadgum wrist right here, or this thumb, that arthritis is getting worse. I don't know. Bone part.
So how's Shirley doing?
Oh, she's doing all right. She's she got rid of all of her donkeys.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Finally got them to new homes.
Good deal.
And she's just doing day-to-day stuff. She spends her time at volunteering for shelters and stuff like that. And poor girl, bless her heart, she didn't know how to get back to Hope. So she followed me from La Villa, and I told her, I said, okay, we're going to go straight on 4th, and you turn left, head through the couple of lights, and get on the bypass and head back to Hope. No. She follows us on 4th, and I'm going, what's she doing? How come? Because I even put my hand out the window and I said, okay, you go that way. No, she follows us on 4th. And I said, well, maybe she's just going to go on down 4th and hit Seifert.
She came to Nashville?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had lunch at La Villa.
Okay.
We turned down Clark. She follows us to Clark. I'm going, Karen says, well, she's probably just getting a landmark from our house, and then she'll know how to get home from there. All right, that makes sense. So we turn into our driveway, and she putters on past. I'm like, okay, I hope she doesn't get lost over in those streets over there. But no, she's doing good. She's doing well.
How's the boys?
Let's see, there's John and what's her other boy's name? John's
Glenn.
Glenn.
Yeah.
So John's still in the Navy, right? Is it John? Yeah, John's still active.
Is it active? I thought he was Navy Reserve.
Okay. But he had bought a new home, he bought some new property and stuff like that. So because he was deployed overseas, Middle East, and with all the earnings that he was getting over there, he saved all that up and bought property when he got back here.
Now he's still up in Chicago area?
Illinois. Yeah, Illinois. Yeah, he's still there. And so, and the girlfriend that he had, I guess they broke up after 4 years.
Yeah, he thought it was cool. I knew, because he was stationed at Fort Sheridan, old Fort Sheridan up right on the lake there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I worked for the reserves, Army Reserves, we had, basically Army Reserves owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And, but on that installation at the time was this one building with a fence with a fence around it,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the Navy,
Okay.
and that's where he worked. So it was kind of a clandestine kind of thing,
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly what, we didn't talk about what he does, but anyhow, he was, oh man, you know that place? I said, yeah, I've been there many times. It was part of my region.
Mm-hmm.
And I even told him, I says, it was an area where they'd bring German soldiers, and
Operation Paperclip.
No, I don't know what that is, but they'd bring German soldiers, and I says, I've been up here a couple of times working with environmental because where they deloused them, they were using DDT and stuff like that. And
The good stuff.
yeah, the good stuff.
Stuff that works.
Yeah. That was an area that, wasn't super fun, but it was a place that they had to, look at.
Breakfast with champions there, ain't it?
You got it, man.
Famous for.
So I told him, I said, yeah, I was working, with state environmental because basically what was happening in Fort Sheridan is, and it's probably already done, I don't know. It's right on the lake, and the realtor speculators are looking at that and going, wow, these are nice properties. And there was some nice, old military homes.
Right.
Especially the officers' quarters.
Uh-huh.
And they look nice, they were nice and everything. So they're pressing the government, we'd like to buy that, Fort Sheridan. So we were doing basically the environmental impact statement, I guess, or working with it. We weren't doing it, but I was assisting with it.
Right.
To sell it, sell it to private. So I don't know. I'm sure where his shop was at, it was still looked really military, So I don't know if that was one of the things that, they said, no, we're not going to let that happen or what. And because it's Navy, that could have been, it could have been a ULF station. I didn't see any antennas, but it could have been a ULF station. Those are dotted all over the country, and
They gotta bounce.
well, no, yeah, but it's where the penetration to the bedrock is best. So I don't know. Great Lakes might be a great place. I know where another one is out in Utah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here you're driving along, you're like, what the heck is that? And you pull up to the fence, it's like, use of deadly force is authorized here. And you're like, okay. So, another one is out in Bangor, Washington, where the Bangor sub base is.
Uh-huh.
They've got another ULF. It's not on the base, it's out of town. I actually applied for a job there.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, well, what is this? Oh, well, we do the ULF here. So I says, it's not a very big site. No, it's not really. I'm like, okay.
Now for
For you folk,
for
you're
our
going to tell them.
audience, what's a ULF?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Oh, ultra low frequency. That's how they communicate with submarines.
It penetrates stuff.
Well, it uses the bedrock to send messages, throughout the world.
It's like a cochlear implant.
Yeah.
You hear on the bone.
Yeah, so. Just
Which
watch
some
the
of
movie.
Some of us are bedrock heads. So.
Just watch the movie. Hunt for Red October. They talk about ULF all the time.
Couldn't figure out yesterday why my baby Sophie was so anxious and nervous. Couldn't figure it out. And I'm going, well, there's no thunder going on. What are you so shaky about? She's a clinger. When she's real nervous, she'll cling to you. I couldn't figure it out. So I was on the couch, and she's all shaky and nervous and stuff. I'm like, there's no thunder. What's going on? I'm on the couch, and she's next to me. And I hear this. Burp. What was that? I thought it was a bird chirping, but it was just one chirp. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching some stupid something on TV. And it was the timing It wasn't random. It was like consistent every 45 to a minute. Just one chirp. Chirp. Finally, I'm like, what is that? I get up, turn off the TV, and I'm thinking it's a bird stuck somewhere. Couldn't find it. I told Karen, I says, there's this chirp. She says, yeah, I heard it last night. She says, I think it's it's a smoke alarm, low battery chirp. And I said, well, it's not even mounted. You girls took everything off the wall, the paint, and never remounted it. And I couldn't find it. I said, well, where is it? And I'm listening. Chirp. And I open up that coat closet next to the front door. Look and rumble in there. There it is. And I hold it. And then it's... That's what it is. And I take the battery out. And Sophie calms down. That's what was setting her off.
She couldn't figure it out.
She couldn't figure out what that was.
You know, you need to do your job and get this figured out.
Let me just take care of that because we need some of that still.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite things is to come out when I go to feed the dogs. Okay, the glip glops I call them. You know, they'll normally at the back porch, you know, waiting for their food and stuff like that. But if Bandit doesn't show up, I'll get everything done and then I'll go in the front and invariably he's got a raccoon treed somewhere. Like one morning I went out and he's like all excited out on the road and everything. I'm like, what in the world? I look, here's a raccoon sitting on a T-pole. And I'm like, oh goodness. The last one was right across the road is where the power line is, and they've got the fiber box mounted. I look up there, and he's like all over the full pole, you know. I'm like, oh, brother, he's got one, treed up there, and I'm like, you guys are gonna have to stop coming around here, you know. I mean, he almost tore a tree down trying to get to one.
Oh, is that right?
Little trees in the back there. He's pretty relentless. But after a while, he gets bored and he leaves. They leave.
I'll tell you. Well, I just couldn't figure that out. Like, what in the world are you so nervous about? Yeah, it was the chirp. I mean, this is the dog that when she was younger, I've got that water bottle in the kitchen. She was drinking and it gurgled. She will, that day forward, she won't drink from it. So now we have to put out a little bowl so she can drink out of the brown.
Well, Miss Innovative, Liz, she bought this water bowl, and it's got a pump in it. It's battery powered. You have to recharge it, but it's got a cover over the top. It's all stainless steel, and it pump with, and it's got a motion detector. So when an animal comes up to it, it'll start putting water out on that top there. And then what they don't use, it drains back in. I'm like, that's very innovative. So we're very innovative. Well, and I'm pretty.
He's got new knees. Yeah. She's a strange dog, Sophie.
Well, my three outside dogs, Kilo, Bandit, and Peanut, which we call her Fatty Patty, I've had to cut back the food. And I couldn't figure it out because I never give her, I was never giving her, the most I'd give her is maybe 2 scoops, which is 1 scoop of the scoop, which is 2 cups, okay? And that girl just, and I'm like, what in the world? Well, what I found out is she will get run off by Bandit to eat her food, okay? And then she waits around because they get her and Big Dog, or Bandit and Big Dog, Kilo, they'll eat and then they'll walk away. Well, they leave a bunch of it. And that's what she's doing, is cleaning it up. So I've cut back one scoop. They're only getting 4 cups of kibble, and then I make up all kinds of concoctions. Like, if we get like a rotisserie chicken, I'll get all the good stuff off, and then I stick everything else into the Instapot, and I cook it for like 2 hours. And I'm telling you, when you pull the bones out, you can literally just do this, and they just go to dust.
There's no shards.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah.
Okay.
And then what I do is I'll throw all that stuff into a pan and use my little chopper thing and get it all blended up. Well, the liquid, I'll add a little cornstarch to it to thicken it up. So I make this concoction. It's got meat and bone, bone meal, I guess you'd call it by that time. So that's what I'm doing with the dogs. But I also, last year, I had so much squash, I didn't want to, just throw it away. So what I did was I ended up cooking it up in the Instapot, and then Tia got me this really nice hand blender. I just blend the crap out of it, and then I just stuck it, put it in, 2 cups in a Ziploc and put them in the freezer. And I was using that for the dogs inside to make up their stuff.
Sure.
But remember that time I sent you a message saying, "Hey, you need to get down here," because I thought you were making your own dog food.
I was for a long time.
And I thought you were adding pumpkin to it. Remember, and I'm like, it's after Thanksgiving, so they got to get rid of all this canned pumpkin, and they were selling it for $1. Well, last year they sold it for 50 cents, and I bought
Pallet.
pretty much. I told Liz, I says, if I ever see this again, I'm buying all of it if I can. Well, I'm like, okay, I don't want all this, but so anyhow, before that, I was taking that squash and adding it to their food because it's all blended and let it thaw out and blend it and stuff like that. Sure. Well, now I'm putting it in the other dog's food, so and it softens up the kibble and gives them something else to
Well, I'm trying a new thing. That dog food refrigerator that's there in Walmart. I've been buying those loaves.
Yeah.
And the last one I bought, they had marked it down to $15, but I cut them off and slice that, and then chop it up into little cubes, and put that in with their kibbles. Now my babies get 1 cup. Atlas gets about a half cup kibble a day. Well, now he's getting a half cup because I'm adding, a pancake of this loaf stuff, and that's working out pretty good. Because I used to make it all for them, but I got lazy. I don't want to make it anymore. And I did that for years.
Well, that's what inspired me, was looking at that stuff. I'm looking at what's in it, and I'm like, I can do that.
It's good stuff for them.
But so anyhow, that's what I'm doing. Cleaning out my freezer too. So I can tell you my latest little hiccup. I use Soda Stream carbonated water. I make my own carbonated water, and so when I first got into it, I was enjoying the fact that I could order their bottles, and they had a really nice system that, I get my bottles, take out the new ones, put the old ones in there. They've got a label, a return label, and stick it back in the mailbox.
Oh, so you send it back to them?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, the last time I did this, I ordered 4 bottles to, save on shipping. There's free shipping, whatever.
All right.
And I, got my 4 bottles, and that was cool. Except it didn't come with a shipping label, a return label.
Okay.
So I, contacted them, said didn't get my shipping label. They sent me one, no big deal. Printed it off, stuck it on, and got them out there. This time I ordered 4 bottles, okay, like I did last time. box comes in pretty beat up, but that's okay. It's, you know, they reuse them, but it's fine. You know, it worked. I open this thing up, and I've got the old style system where you take the bottle and screw it in and then charge it.
Oh, okay, sure.
Well, you screw the CO2 bottle in, and then when you're charging up a bottle of water, you have to screw the bottle in, charge it, and then unscrew it. Well, now they've got these things that you stick the bottle up there and push this handle down, and it charges it, which is fine. I mean, it's no big deal to me. But I don't have that system. I ended up with 4 bottles, 2 of them for that kind of system, 2 of them for my kind of system. Only one of the bottles was charged, and it was, you know, for my system. You know, I can't even use the other 2. The 4 bottles that they sent me, 3 of them are empty. 2 of them I can't even use. I'm like, and then still no label.
Still no label.
Yeah. So
even with that
man,
one.
you talk about a diatribe that I went on to him, and I told him, I says, this better not happen again, because there's competition out there.
Right.
There's companies that, you know, you can get, and I told him, I says, when I realized I didn't have the label, I told him, I says, you must have a third party doing this, and they don't give a shit about, you know, quality to the customer.
Right. Right.
And so I'm waiting for an answer on that,
Yeah.
because I've got to send them back, the bottles back.
Yeah.
And if it's, you know, I've already paid the price for only one bottle that works, because, you know, they're full, because you pick it up and it's a little bit heavy, and it's got a seal around the top. These other 3 didn't have a seal, and they're empty.
He just took them out of where someone else sent them back. Yeah, here, I'll get these to
Yeah,
you.
so, yeah, and I did a picture, and I'm like, why would I need these 2 bottles? You know, and so I gave them the riot act, and I'm waiting.
Thank you, dear.
I'm waiting for them, because I put that all together Saturday, so we'll see today. Hopefully, I mean, last time when I said I didn't get a label, they responded pretty well. So I'm not gonna. I want to see what happens with this, but that might be the last time I deal with SodaStream, because there's other companies that sell carbonation. I'll be honest with you, I would love to have, you know, a single dispenser, like a Coke dispenser,
Yeah.
you know, and buy the bigger CO2 bottle, and, you know, do my own thing. But, you know, the problem with that is I use filtered water.
Right.
And, you know, I guess I could put a single filter on, but I use filtered water for it, because I don't trust the water around here.
Yeah.
And but anyhow,
That's all I do is I drink. I filter my water.
yeah. I've got a filter under sink filter system, and I remember changing out. I'd run it for about a year, and it was starting to slow down and stuff. So I bought 2 extra sets of filters for it. And holy crap, what a pain in the butt. But, you know, it all seemed good when I first put it in. So,
Well,
but,
we had one of those in Oregon.
yeah.
I mean, when we bought the house, it had a filtration system for the sink. That was all great and everything, until you want to go and change those filters out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, geez, what a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and I set this up thinking that it was going to be, I mean, it's just a pain now. Now that I got my knees, it might not be such a pain anymore.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But basically we've been using a Brita. I was at an auction, and one of those things, let's just throw all this stuff together, and I ended up buying this, and it's a brand new Brita, and along with it came a filter, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, that right there made it. I mean, I paid $2 for the whole mess, so
Yeah.
you know. So we use that, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, for filling the coffee machine and you know, fill up my bottles, and you know, and if nothing else, I'll use the other filter system. But yeah, that really bugged me, because it's kind of obvious they're using a third party to do their work. And that, you know, when it first came out, it was awesome. They always are. Everything's great. They thought this thing through, and it works good, and everything's kind of new and fresh. And now it's like, well, twice I've ended up with mistakes and old boxes
Mhm.
And it's like, so I'm waiting
It's
for
almost like it was a returned box.
and they pulled a bottle out and stuck a fresh one in there and sent it out.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, and that, what that tells me is there's a production issue. You know, the more you get out, the better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, you'll make more money if you, or, we need these out now. I don't care how you do it. Okay, well, if you don't care, here you go. I'm sending this guy a bunch of empties for 2 different systems.
Take that. Take that.
So,
Yeah. Wait till he comes back on you or she,
yeah.
and it better not be a Karen.
So,
Be wanting to talk to your manager.
yeah. I can be a Karen.
Me too.
Actually, I kind of like being a Karen sometimes.
Karen can be a Karen for sure. She hates waiting. What do you mean it's 45-minute wait to eat? Well, that's just stupid. I'm like,
Well, I definitely am in her category on that. We went out to, when Jason was living out in Scottsdale, I had a friend that flew, he was pilot for Sun Country Airlines. I don't know if they're still in business. I think they are up in Minneapolis. And so it was kind of cool because he made the run to Phoenix, basically twice a day or whatever. So I ended up getting my tickets for, it was myself, Liz, Tia, and Jeremy. Yeah. And we all went down to Scottsdale to see him and hang out with him for a few days. So, long story short, we get down there and Jason's going to take us out to this morning. This
Good morning.
this I forgot what kind of restaurant it was, but it was one of those restaurants that it takes, you got to have a reservation for about a month, okay?
Right.
And he said, yeah, my reservation's been for a month, that's what you got to do with this place. I'm like, okay, cool. And it was a nice place, cool. Had a great veranda out there with nice big couches and stuff like that.
Nice.
So, got the guy at the front there and maitre d' or whatever they call him. And so Jason checks in and everything, and we were like, 10 minutes, to eat, right? And so we're sitting there, and we'd already done some drinking before we got there, and we're sitting there and everything, and I mean, we're waiting. The guy told him, he says, well, it'll probably be about a 15-minute wait. It's probably 15-minute wait. Well, 45 minutes later, it's like, excuse me? And so got to be about 50 minutes, and I said, hold on. I get up and I walk up to the guy, and I'm like, what is going on? My son has had a reservation for this time for a month here. Why are we not sitting at a table and blah, blah, blah? The guy's like, oh. And so he goes and I says, I'd like to talk to your manager. Manager comes out, and I'm like, I know. And I'm kind of terse, but I've been drinking, so I'm a little bit of an asshole. I'm not anyhow.
I got the Karen
Yeah.
blonde hair,
And-
big sunglasses on.
So he's like, I pushed back on him too, and then I'm like, is this any way to run a restaurant? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
And so he says, well, come with me. All of you come with me. And he sat us at the bar and ordered up some hors d'oeuvres for us to wait and for free. And of course, we had some more to drink. And
I want comped for my meal.
we finally they set us down. Great place, great food, But the best part was, we come walking out and everything, and Jason, he's a little bit over the top on his drinking. He does somersaults out.
Little over the top.
Little bit over the top, yeah. And then we get
doing somersault.
And then we get a taxi, and there was 6 of us. Yeah, there were 6 of us. Okay. And the taxi says, I can only take 5. Oh, what? I'm like, whoa. I'm like,
Face starts splitting.
and they're like, The guy's like, Dad, settle down, settle down. And I'm like, this is crazy. You know, blah, blah, blah. I says, oh, wait for another taxi. And the guy goes, fine, get in.
You can sit up here with me.
Yeah. So,
jeez.
they're like those Northerners.
Nothing like going off in a Karen mode.
Yeah, and then Jason got sick that night. Just the way it is.
Oh, jeez, I tell you. And then for lunch, you know, I told Karen, I said, well, I'm going to go outside of my usual vegetarian plate and I'm going to get...
No.
Yeah, I did. I got a Loco Poco something. I don't know what it was. It was tasty, but Karen goes, yeah, it's his birthday today. And,
Oh, no.
do you want us, she goes, oh, you want us to come sing happy birthday? I said, no, I don't need to be having that kind of attention drawn to me. However, I'll take a free sopapilla, you know, and, okay. So I said, don't take these people away from doing what they need to do just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, I don't want that kind of attention drawn to me.
Last time that happened to me in a Mexican restaurant, they threw the sombrero, and I'm talking as big as this table, you know, and it's like, it's your birthday today, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, brother. I look at Liz and like, why do you do this?
See, and I wind up singing with them, you know, and I'm like, don't draw attention to myself. I don't need that. Yeah, but I will eat the sopapilla. And so I did, and it was good. And, I mean, how can you go wrong with cinnamon, honey, and piece of bread?
I still remember my first sopapilla.
Yeah.
It was at a place called Maria's in Albuquerque, just off the Wyoming. It's on Wyoming Street, off the Wyoming Gate at Kirtland Air Force Base. And this place, I just absolutely adored it because her cooking was just amazing, and her chili rellenos were just over the top. As a matter of fact, I walked in one time, and you could smell chilies roasting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, wow, that's amazing. What is that? She says, oh, I'm roasting up some chilies. I'm like, really? I says, that smells so good. She says, yeah, we have a farm in Hatch, New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
And so these are from our farm. I'm just like, how do you beat that? You know?
You can.
But
It's not off a Cisco truck.
she brought me a sopapilla after I'd eaten. She's like, I says, so what's that? She says, oh, you've never had a sopapilla? I'm like, nope, never even said the word before. And she says, well, you pour a little honey on it. And
I've had soap.
Yeah.
I've done peas.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyhow, that was my first sopapilla.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, my first chili rellenos. So I started out good. What we've been enjoying is going to Los Agavas, and they have two soups. One's a shrimp soup, and the other one's a chicken soup. And I mean I wouldn't call it tortilla soup, but I guess it's not really tortilla soup. There's no tortillas or chips in it and stuff like that. But it is really good. You squeeze some lime on those. Oh my goodness, it's delicious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, if you ever get a chance, give that a
Well,
try.
I will tell, and this is a negative mark against La Villa. We were having supper one night, and I ordered this shrimp soup.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And when they brought that out there, all it was a bowl of hot water with some frozen shrimp in it. And I'm like, this is nasty. I've never had soup since.
Yeah.
It's like I don't order steak at a Mexican restaurant because it's burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, and I don't get the pizza at Chinese buffets.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, I understand why you're doing it. You got to make the kids happy.
Yeah.
Mary would have loved it. I mean, I still love talking about the fact that we'd go to Chin's and Dad would order this giant, whatever, entourage of foods. And Mary's like, I want a hamburger. I used to look at her and I'm like, you're stupid. But then what I didn't realize is that's more for me.
Well, I never could understand that either. I mean, we got this delightful, you got your bird seed here, and you got your yellow goop, and you dip stuff in.
Oh
it.
yeah, that's the barbecue.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And you want a burger?
Yeah. Oh God. You know, back in the day, I mean, I guess I'm spoiled to chins, but it seemed out on the West Coast, they know how to make an egg roll.
Yeah.
I haven't had a good egg roll since sitting down with Mom in Sutherland, over by Douglas County Bank. There was a Chinese restaurant there.
Oh yeah.
That's the last one. I ordered an egg roll and it comes out. It's nice and it was delicious. Now it's like, call them cabbage rolls or something. I mean, I know you can put cabbage in them. That's fine.
Right.
But they don't even come close to what I was raised on.
Yeah.
But
Cisco trucks.
Cisco truck.
That's what it is. It's made in a prison somewhere. Flash frozen.
Government gets a cut.
Government gets their cut.
Yeah.
The private contractors get their cut.
Yeah. And then by the time you get it, you're like, that's not an egg
It's
roll.
been cut too many times.
Yeah. I mean,
That ain't pure.
yeah, they put shrimp and stuff like in it. Oh my goodness.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Well, and Shirley goes, I want to go back and try that Simple Simon. And I was going to tell her, I was going to text her back, and I said, why don't we just go to Simple Simon's? Because they have that buffet, and it's nice. But I didn't know when they shut their buffet down, because Karen and I went there the other day, and they cut off that buffet.
I think at 2.
Yeah,
2 o'clock.
I didn't know what time it was, and we went in, no buffet. Well, we just did an about face and left.
Yeah,
because I'm not going to pay for a whole pizza. Sorry, I want to eat very stuff for one price. One more coffee?
Yeah, bring it on.
So yeah, well, she wants to, she obviously wants to do that again, and we had talked about doing Simple Simon, so
Well, maybe we'll catch it
arrange
next
another time, maybe next month, and
Do that.
And Rebecca was going to go with us, but then just as we were leaving, she came up. She just, the allergies, she's like Atlas. I mean,
Yeah, Liz is kind of suffering. She's like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know.
and she takes that, some kind of antihistamine, and it just knocks her in the dirt.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, we have a neighbor, friends, in Oregon. Her name was Catherine, and Catherine and Ray. And Catherine, she was like that. She would just, anything that blossomed, and she's down for it. She had to get shots, allergy shots. And Rebecca's thinking about doing that, going and getting an allergy shot.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, when it's that severe for you.
Yeah, I told Liz, I says, you could never live in Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, great state, beautiful, all that stuff, but they have all that scrub cedar, and I mean, everywhere on the lower ends. And I says, I've watched you take out big old boys, working out there on the desert and stuff. And I says, and probably not even allergic to anything, but it just gets so serious out there. I told Tia, I says, you better be careful too, because it just, that's I'm sure it's the same on Eastern Oregon and Western Idaho and all that stuff.
Right.
That old cedar, just that scrub cedar or whatever it's called, juniper. That's what it is. It's juniper. Yeah, it just it just puts out some dust here.
Yeah, and I'm usually not impacted by that. Things blossoming and stuff, but there are once in a while a certain something will blossom and it'll just knock my head in the dirt.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck is that? What the hell about? I don't know. Well, let's see. What's the latest on the van? Well, did I tell you last time? You know, I turned on my wipers and it was just, you know, you hear these gears grinding and stuff. I'm going, sure, why not? You know, why not?
What else?
What else? I wound up buying a new motor for it,
Yep.
and that was just,
Well, there you go.
yeah. Actually, Fred put it on. I was out of town, and he was still here, and he said, "Yeah, I fixed that for you." Okay, cool. Thanks. I kept the old motor because it's got a brand new controller card in it, and I'm like, well, I ain't getting rid of that because I know the controller will blow out. And
You know,
I'm gonna need a backup.
I mean, I can't say I appreciate how Frank, did with Carol and stuff like that. But that's kind of a norm, kind of a norm. I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but, it's, how he did, having a girlfriend, but getting her pregnant wasn't a cool idea.
Right.
But, oops. And I can understand Carol's, wanting to murder him and stuff like that. I mean, it's just human. But I liked Frank. I really liked Frank. And, he came through when Clint was born and had to spend that time in San Antonio at the Wilford Hall Air Force Hospital. He really came through. I mean, he showed up immediately when Liz and I are down there. Well, I came down first, and then Liz came a couple days later. And, we were staying in BLQ across from the hospital. And he knocks on the door, shows up. Anything I can do, I'll do it. Now, that's after they've been divorced and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I mean, he really came through.
Yeah.
Let me use his little, it was a Fiat 850 sports car to drive around. He had that. And he took me for a drive. He had a TR7 Triumph TR7, the little wedge-looking thing.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah.
And so we're on Bandera Avenue, and we're going to a little restaurant, and this is after Liz had left, and we're going down the Bandera's like 8 lanes, okay, and so we're going down Bandera, and I'm like, man, I says, you ever race this thing? He says, oh yeah. I said, what do you race? Whoever wants to race. I said, what, you take on a big old goat or Chevelle? He says, any day. I'm like, really? I says, what makes this so hot? He says, well, if you're racing on a quarter, he says, I can beat them every time. I'm like, really? He says, yeah, let me show you. He literally just stops in the middle of the road, puts it in first gear, and he goes, watch this. And he says, watch the tachometer. I says, okay. He takes it right up to red and past. Takes it right up to red and past. Okay? And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, I'm worried he's going to blow the engine. And he's like, and he said, by the time I hit the third, I'm over the quarter. And he says, they're still shifting. And it's because it's so wound up.
Yeah.
And I said, don't you worry about blowing it. Nah, you ain't going to blow this engine. He says, that's how I beat him.
I'll be darned.
I mean, literally, he's taking it to 8 and 9, and just keeping it on it.
And he just pegs the tag.
And when he decides it's time, yeah. And I'm like, I had no idea these cars were that strong. He said, yep, in a quarter, I can get them every time.
I'll be darned.
He says, because those old lugs, they got a, and I said that, he goes, they're fast. I'll never beat them on the long, but I can beat them on the short. I'm like, wow. So he let me have he got me a job while I was there because I was down there for 6 weeks. It was what was called administrative leave. I was still getting my pay, but it doesn't take away from my leave. It's the unit allowing you to be away, without.
Kind of like an FMLA.
Yeah, and so But the problem with that is I'm having to pay for my BLQ and my meals and stuff like that. It's permissive TDY, what they call it, but it's not TDY. So I don't get per diem. I don't get lodging or anything. So I'm paying for that myself. Well, that was getting kind of expensive, and So, I was over at his house talking to him. He says, well, hey, let me get you a job. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he was working for Gibson Plumbing Company. I mean, a giant plumbing company.
Yeah.
Okay. And I says, you can do it? I says, yeah, because he's a master plumber.
For sure.
And he says, yeah, I'll get you on. I'll get you on with our crew. I'm like, great. And so it helped to tide over,
Right.
And what happened was he says, and what you need to do is just move in with me and just stay here.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't having to do any duty.
Right.
Just go see Clint and stay with Clint. And so that really, I mean, the guy stepped up. I mean, he really, really stepped up, and I'll always appreciate him for that. But he had a GMC. He had a GMC pickup. I think it had a.
Was it plum color?
Yeah.
I know the one.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And it's a half ton. Did he ever show you the engine?
Yeah, I've seen the engine.
Yeah. And I'm like, he pulls it up. It's got 2 4s in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I says, why do you got so much power on this? He's,
Never know what I'm going to have to put in the bag.
So he had let me take that to work in the mornings, and he said, but you got to pick up this friend of mine, part of the crew. I'm like, no problem. I pull in and pick him up and everything. Well, one afternoon, it had rained a little bit on the freeway. I'd go to step on the gas, and it just... I'm like, crap. I could not get through an intersection because it was so, it's light in the back and all this stuff. So, but we're coming down the freeway, and I'm getting off to drop his friend off. And, well, he's my friend by that time. I worked with him. And, oh, man, I went to make the move to get on the off-ramp, and that truck just, like, floated all over the place. It was so light. I'm like, oh. But it was.
And today is Monday.
It was it was quite an engine, and I loved working for him. I mean, I learned all my plumbing tricks from him. I learned.
No, that's what Fred said. Dad taught me all these
Yeah.
tricks.
And like he taught me center. There's a term called center on center on when you're cutting pipe and stuff like that. Because I cut a lot of back then they used black pipe for their gas and stuff. I cut a lot of black pipe. And because we were working on brand new homes and stuff like that, and but I mean, this place was so big, Frank had a company truck, and it had all the gear, all the stuff. And what you did was whatever you used up that day, you made a list, just left it on the dash, and they'd park the trucks inside, and there were people that come out and get the truck, fill the list, and then you're ready to go the next morning.
I'll be darned.
It's that big. I mean, that's how big it was. But I met some really great guys. So I'm making my own lunch, and I take it with me and everything. And of course, I'm the only gringo on the crew, right?
Of course.
And of course, they had to love me because of Frank. You gotta love me, sorry. And so I'm sitting there, I'm eating my sandwich and everything, and this one guy named, they called him Little Juan, okay? And he comes over and says, oh, what you got there, Joe? And I says, sandwich stuff. He says, you want to trade? I'm like, well, what you got? And he says, well, my wife makes me up my lunch every day. It's a couple of burritos and whatever,
Right.
And so I says, yeah, sure. So I gave him my sandwich, and I'm having this burrito. I'm like, wow. I looked at him and says, tell your wife, this is awesome. That's all it took.
That's all it took, huh?
That's all it took. Because after that, he comes in.
She started making you a lunch, too.
She sure did. And a matter of fact, not just her, there were other wives.
Oh,
yeah, one guy comes up and says, oh, Joe, my wife made this for you. She wants you to give it a try and see what you think. I'm like,
sure.
these guys their wives took great care of me.
Sure.
I never met them, but they took great care of me. It was awesome.
3 months later and 400 additional pounds.
It was just beautiful. It was a fantastic experience.
Oh, geez.
So, and I remember, so what we would do is we'd go in and work on a house, and I remember putting in copper plumbing and stuff like that, and to get it all set and everything. Well, along comes Frank. Says, "Is it ready?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, of course, I've cut it and I've put the flux on it and all this stuff. He showed me how to do all that. He says you can never put enough flux on it. I'm like, okay. And so I remember the first time he comes in and he goes in. He's got his torch and he's doing all the soldering and everything. And I says, and that's all he did. I did all the work.
He connected everything.
Yeah, he connected everything. And I says, I don't get it. I says, I do all the work, and all you do is solder it. And he goes, I says, why is that? And he says, because I'm a master plumber and you're not.
But be grateful that the wise are giving you food.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, that was a beautiful thing. The only time the guys questioned me was, we're heading home, and I'm with Frank in his truck, and then little Juan had a truck, and there's two guys in that, and then there's another truck behind us. We're heading back to the shop and everything. And I says, "Hey Frank, slow down." And he says, "What are you doing?" I says, "Oh, just watch it." And little Juan gets up to us and everything, and I go, "Hey Juan!" He goes, "Yeah." And I pull my pants down and I mooned him. He almost swerved off the road. We get back. Frank's like, "What are you doing?" We get back and they're like all looking at me like. I says, "Yeah, well, that's just love mooning." They're like, I forgot the word for queer, but they said something like "hoto" or something like that to me. You must be hoto, or I forgot what the Spanish word is. I'm like, well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Your wives love me. They really. I found myself having to make more sandwiches, but that's fine. You could not beat that food. But these guys have been eating it all their lives. Sure, I'll take a sandwich.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. God, that was great.
Is that Oscar Mayer bologna? Wow, I don't get that often.
So when the two cultures come together, food makes the difference.
Food brings you together.
Yep.
Food brings you together.
Food makes the difference.
Oh yeah.
Except for lutefisk.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever get brought into that, just stick with the Swedish meatballs in the left side. You'll be fine.
And what's the other one?
Haggis.
Haggis.
Well, I've never tried it. I've got to try it. But
okay.
So
I like that scene.
In Armageddon.
Yeah. That'll put some.
They'll put hair on your butt or whatever you're at. Yeah, I like haggis. Just blah, blah, blah.
No thanks. I'm a little more delicate than that.
Oh, sure you are. I think you are, actually.
Not as pretty as you, though.
Mm-mm.
I ain't got the pretty knees.
Hey, I'm going to tell you. And, you're just going to have to live with this statement, this story.
Oh. I feel the pain already.
Okay, first time I went down to Phoenix at Luke Air Force Base, I was taking a class down there. And so, of course, Ted and Ev live out, they live in somewhere in Phoenix there, wherever. And so as soon as class was over, I get ready and I head over to their house to meet them. And they lived in a apartment complex and stuff. Knock on the door and Ted opens the door. "Oh my God, blah, blah, blah." You give me all the crap. And come walking in. Evelyn comes walking out. And, she's got her oxygen and stuff. And she goes, "Oh my gosh." And I give her a big hug. And she says, "I always thought you were the best looking in the family. So you're going to have to live with that."
Oh.
Evelyn said that.
Yeah, she was not having her oxygen on high enough. Affected her brain.
She might have been eating peyote or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of it down there.
Yeah.
Ted told me when he was working for the state highway, he says, we were working out in this area, and he says, hemp grows everywhere out there. He says, I said, yeah. He says, so man, we're working on the side of the road here, and they're clearing some hemp out, and stuff like that. And he says, I took 2 of those big old things, and he says, on the dump trucks where they've got the little holders for flags and stuff, shoved two of those driving down the highway. State truck. I'm like, nice.
Oh, jeez. Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, I got spoiled in New Mexico's chili rellenos. Okay. And went to this place. We were. I was at Williams Air Force Base. Is it Williams? There's two Air Force bases down there. There's Luke, and I think it's Williams, but it's kind of a guard base, or it's not an active Air Force base, but it's still used and stuff.
Right.
But I forgot what I was doing down there. But anyhow, guy says, "Well, let's go to lunch. A little Mexican restaurant we'll go to and stuff like that." I says, "Sure." So I'm looking. I'm like, "Oh, all right, chili rellenos." So I ordered the chili rellenos, and this thing came out, and it was chopped, boiled chilies cut in slices with eggs, scrambled eggs. And I'm like, which would sound more like chili hors
Yeah.
but that's not what it was. It was chili rellenos. And I go, this is chili rellenos? Oh, yeah, totally. And I'm thinking, well, either he's looking at the gringo and doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, or they don't know what they're doing. And I says, well, I've had it in New Mexico. So, we don't do it like that. I'm like, okay, so it tastes like crap.
Really?
Well, eggs and chilies, that's fine, but so didn't go there. But what I thought was, the reason I remember this place so much is not so much that, is it's the first place I ever went into, and it told you at the door, a sign said, leave your guns in your car. Don't bring them in here. And I'm like, wowzer. Wowzer.
Because we serve terrible tequila in here. And, it's going to make you stupid.
So I ended up staying the weekend, flying out on Monday on that, not the first trip, the second trip I went down. And Daniel and I, we just made this tavern run all over out in the countryside.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Huh.
Oh my God, that was, just ran into some really great places with great people, and the beer was always super cold, and it was, I don't know how many pictures. I was definitely, got pulled over. I was going to get busted, but man, it was so much fun.
Pub walking.
Yeah, it was a pub crawl.
Or pub crawl, that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last really good time I ever had with Daniel.
Yeah. Yeah. You sure?
I still don't know what happened to him.
He was in a motel room there.
In Hope?
I think in Hope. Yeah.
And
Killed over.
yeah, he was having real problems. I think he was probably hooked up on oxycodone because of his back and stuff.
He was in a pretty poor shape.
Yeah.
It sure affected Mark pretty strong. He came up here and took care. I told Mark, I said, anything you need me to do, you just let me know. He says, thanks, I'll get it taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah, I remember when first time I came down, I went out with Mark and Daniel, and they took me to a place called Island Burger, and that was pretty cool burgers. You order the Island Burger. It's a burger with a ring of pineapple, and then they shred up lettuce and add just straight mayo to it. Decent flavor, pretty good. So I remember that. Also remember driving. They go, oh, there's Glenn Campbell's Cadillac. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. And that's the time that was the first time. I know I've told you this before, where we, I haven't seen Evelyn in 20 years.
Yeah.
5 minutes of pleasantries, compliment to me. I'm the best looking in the family. And
Yeah,
and then she went
for sure.
and lack of oxygen. And yeah, that was the other thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's on oxygen, fires up a cigarette. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, that'll fix it.
you're not gonna break that habit.
Yeah,
So
so
I'll just go with it.
yeah. Well, what am I supposed to do? And so, but then she went right into, I hate the Japanese. They took everything away from me. Yeah, blah, killed my father. Blah blah blah. I'm like, man, that was like 45 years ago. But anyhow,
Okay, sis, how you doing today?
so, and I know I've told you this, but we're in my rental car and we're going over to this Island Burger, and I have to stop at the light. I go, guys, you know, I hate to say it, but I says, I haven't seen your mom in 20 years, and she immediately went off on the Japanese thing, and they go, you know, that's all she talks about. We don't even go over to the house because that's all she talks about.
I just can't wrap my head around it because Evelyn done that all her life.
I know. I mean, well, it's just, I guess it's I don't, I mean, I'm sure, I mean, she was a little kid, and I admit, you know, I mean, it can be traumatic.
Oh.
I mean, remember, she couldn't stand balloons because she was worried they'd pop and make a loud noise. I mean, she definitely had PSD or PSTD or whatever. PTSD from, you know, from World War II.
Sure.
But hey, she got to sit and eat supper with Douglas MacArthur.
Yeah.
You know, come on, look at the positive side. And he got your ass out of there. You know, but I just
She
don't.
was an unhappy woman.
Well, it just didn't turn out the way that she wanted to be. You know,
And was her family wealthy, and everything was just taken from them?
Well, actually, yes. Mrs. Boswell, her mom, was the executive secretary to this Filipino gentleman who had, you know, he had business all over the world.
Yeah.
And so it was a pretty big deal. So she was doing very well in Manila.
Yeah.
And of course, then the war came, and her and her mom got thrown into intern camp, along with three of their her house servants.
Servants.
Yeah, they took care of her. The Japanese, the way I understand it, the Japanese gave them, you know, a lot of leeway. They just couldn't go anywhere. Well, it's two American people, and you know they didn't know what to do, but they definitely killed her boss.
Yeah.
So you know, but anyhow, that all went topsy turvy. I'm sure they were living, but she was still just a little kid, you know. So I don't know. Who knows? I mean, nobody.
We didn't live it.
Yeah, we didn't live it,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm sure she had night terrors for the rest of her lives. And I mean, I feel sorry for that, because, but, and we'd like to say, hey, you know, just, you know, to anybody that's having a mental breakdown, just pick it up and you know, toughen it up.
You know,
It doesn't
walk
work
it
that
off.
way.
It doesn't work that way.
I think she lived years of depression, and, you know, and that's one of the things was to just be able to talk it, you know. And but she really hated the Japanese.
Oh yeah.
You know, I bet the last thing she ever
even
said was, "I hate the Japanese."
Even as kids, that's all she would talk about.
Oh, always.
And just the.
Well, and here she is living that kind of life, and then she meets Ted,
and then she marries Ted,
and then she runs into our kind of life, which we're all inclusive.
Just send me back to the internment camp.
So I don't know. Who knows?
And she was an absolutely stunning and lovely woman.
Oh yeah, she was beautiful.
She was just a beautiful woman. I don't know how that worked out.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Ted had something that we
maybe she just needed to marry a goat. You know, Ted.
I remember there's a picture. Well, I don't know, probably not anymore. But I remember seeing a picture of Ted when he was at what's the Marine base down in San Diego? Pendleton.
Yeah, Pendleton.
No, this couldn't have been Pendleton. He must have been overseas.
29 Palm.
No, he must have been overseas on this one. Because he's standing outside of I guess a barracks. It's like one level. And there's a porch. He's standing out there. He's got a Mickey Thompson submachine gun in one hand, and he's got his shirt off, and he's wearing a white bra.
I remember that picture.
Okay, Green family, it runs in the family. We're kind of cross-dressers. Except he did it with style. He did it with style. He did it with a Mickey Thompson. A white bra. And he's just smiling. So, I don't know. No, that had to have been overseas. Because he would have never been given a gun like that at 29 Palms or
No.
at Pendleton.
No, unless it was a toy, and that wasn't a toy.
No, this wasn't a toy.
Yeah.
Yep, Ted was a cross-dresser.
Yeah. That's so funny.
I bet our parents were like, what the hell did we do?
Where did we go wrong? These were supposed to be sharecropping kids.
Yeah.
Well, we broke the mold.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah,
In more ways than one.
we are definitely different than the rest of the family.
Yeah.
I guess moving out to Oregon did it for us. Huh?
It is, and yeah, I don't think Mom really cared staying here,
No, she didn't.
and especially Dad's sisters. She didn't like them too much. They were hypocrites.
How could you not like Annabelle and Minnie or Millie?
I love my aunts and my uncles, but Mom, yeah, that was a different playing field for Mom.
I think that's where we get it. Because Grandpa Joe, according to David, is a little different too, saying he was a bootlegger.
Yeah.
And and this is all hearsay, but I heard this story, and I'm not sure where it actually came from, that he moved to Arkansas because he killed a man in Illinois.
No way.
Nope, I cannot corroborate it, and I don't even remember who told me that. There's somebody in the family.
We'll have to.
But this story, Mom told me, okay? Grandpa loved to fish and hunt, okay?
Yeah.
And he ended up with a stroke, okay? And this is Mom telling me this story. He ended up with a stroke, but that didn't keep him down.
Yeah.
We're talking about a man that used to split. He was a rail splitter. He used to make railroad ties.
All right.
And that's how he shipped his whiskey up to Chicago, was he'd hide it within the rails that went up there, to be treated or whatever, That's according to David. And so she's telling me, she says, he got up one morning and went out and found wild horseradish, okay? Brought it in the house, boiled it up, pulped it up, and ran it all up his arm and on the side of his face. And it gave him enough sensation that he could, basically function.
Huh.
And grabbed his shotgun, went down to the Saline River, which was not very far from Coy's house, that road that went on past.
Yeah.
Went down to the Saline River, shot 2 ducks, drug them out of the river, brought them home, and she said he came in the house and dropped them on the table and said, "Clean these and cook them." Now that's Grandpa Newton.
Newton or Green?
Newton.
Newton.
I'm talking about Joe Newton.
Oh, okay.
Mr. 33 1/3 degree Mason.
Yeah. So
Or 32 1/3.
That's right. Mom's family came from Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois. Watch it.
Illinois.
Yeah.
S is silent. And the O-I is a Y. Illinois.
Yeah, I'm
No,
annoyed.
the I is a Y.
But we're really on phraseology today. I think I kicked it off. You kicked it off.
Occurred.
Occurred is the word for the day.
It occurred to me that we had went to Sherry's cafe last breakfast, and we were going to go this time Well, I suggested it, and then it occurred to me this morning at 5:30 that we went there last time. So I texted him. He was probably still asleep. Half the day's gone by that time.
And I questioned the term, it occurred to me. And so here we are. But
So it's occurring to me. You want another spot of coffee?
I think I'm finishing up on this.
Okay.
But anyhow, that came out of Mom's mouth, so it has to be gospel.
Well, Mom doesn't lie.
Not a bit.
No.
And she barely cussed.
And Dad didn't lie. He embellished.
No, that's not embellishment.
Oh, he embellished.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
take-
take coffee left if y'all want to.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let me have some of that slug.
Yeah, force it on me. I see that if I didn't do my part, you'd have some to waste, and that's not
Oh,
good
sure.
for business.
So when I offered to get you more coffee, nah.
Well, let's just get something
And then
straight.
she
She's
offers
way prettier
coffee.
than you.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Way. I mean, I shouldn't even say it that way. She's just pretty.
but you're pretty too.
Well, I'm pretty.
Yeah. You got new
We
needs.
got that straight.
Yeah. Dad just embellished.
I don't think so.
You think he lied?
No, I don't think he ever did that.
I think he embellished.
Really?
When he would go fishing, yeah, he would say he caught a fish this big, and it was only that big.
Well, okay, I never caught him on one of those. I loved his stories about when he was a kid, and they'd go to Oklahoma on the train and stuff, and, along with the hobos and everything. And he had a first cousin, and I don't know which family it was, that he told me, he says he was one tough hombre, but he ended up killing a bull on the train. You know what a bull is, right? They were the guys that they put on the train to kick the hobos off.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
This guy was trying to throw him off, and he just shot him. And I don't remember who that was. I know it wasn't Bynum, but Dad's story about Bynum was he was a tough hombre too. He says I watched him get in a fight, and both guys stood there. They didn't move. They just beat each other. And he said Bynum just finally beat him down. He said they didn't move around or anything. They just throwing and catching punches.
Huh.
Bynum.
That's some tough people back there.
Yeah.
No,
Bynum
I
Green.
don't ever recall Dad ever lying. I don't remember anything.
I don't either.
Yeah.
No, I'm real good at lying, so
Well,
I love to embellish.
he embellished with the grandchildren.
Well,
You know,
favorite
you don't
saying.
eat those carrots, your eyeballs are gonna
So-
go blind and things like that.
I loved when Dad would see a little kid and say, "Now I need you to say I'm a horse at last," and invariably they'd say they're a horse's ass, and he just thought that was the greatest. I'm a horse's ass.
I used to love him doing
Oh,
his
and his other thing, she's got freckles on her butt. She's pretty.
crack.
No, freckles on her butt. She's pretty.
But he
You
would
gotta
say
ki-
crack too.
Well, that doesn't give the giveaway. Okay, she's got freckles on her butt. She's pretty is one way you can look at it.
Oh.
She's got freckles on her butt. She's pretty. So
Where's a comma?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's like those things you see on social media. It says talking about where the comma goes. Let's eat the children, or let's eat children, and then it says let's eat comma children. Let's eat children. Let's eat comma children.
Yeah, and Dad, that jingle. Yeah, he would say, "But she's pretty," but he'd also say, "Crack." She's got freckles on her. Crack. She's pretty. Anyway,
Yeah, it doesn't get the
no, it doesn't do the same thing.
yeah.
It's almost like a Looney Tune cartoon. Those were that dialogue was for adults.
Yeah, I know.
You know, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, quite a fella.
Yeah. How many times you ever heard Mom say, "Shut up, Marvin"?
Not many, and that's why it had an impact every time.
Once. I've heard it once.
Oh no, I think I've maybe 3 times in my life, but every time Marvin shut up.
Yes, he did.
So it had an impact. If Grace has gone that far, to use that kind of term, Marvin better shut up.
If she's gonna scold, you better listen.
Yeah, shut up, Marvin.
She was a patient woman.
Except with us.
Just thinking how she could sit there, drink her coffee, have her stories on, Harlequin romance in her hand, cigarette dangling out of her face, ash that long,
Yeah.
and not lose it, and keep track. And that's what Karen reminds me of Mom, because she could do that. Now it used to be Karen could read a book, have a movie show going on, and keep track of everything. Whereas, how do you do that? Now Karen, she can scroll through her phone, which I created a demon by doing, introducing her to smartphone, and have a show going on, and she can keep track of what's going on. And it reminds me of Mom. Mom could do that.
Oh, Liz does that.
I can't do that.
I can't either, because I want to catch everything that the show is trying to say,
Yeah.
and and try to figure out what the next step is before they tell me. So I can't look at this and then, what did I miss? Here, let me back that up.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. And I think it's because a lot of stuff is just decidedly going over the head because she doesn't care.
Yeah.
She just wants to know, is there a happy ending? Hey, that's what we always wanted.
It's so funny. Last night I was watching a movie on my computer.
Don't let me forget happy ending. I got a story.
Oh, we used to tell that to Massager all the time. Happy ending? I'll be happy when you pay me. Anyway, so I'm watching this movie. I don't remember what it was. And I got my feet propped up on the desk. And all of a sudden, something goes like this. And it's Karen standing there. And she says, "You fell asleep watching your movie." I said, "Oh, yeah. I couldn't even keep track of the movie. I just fell asleep." So I had to back it up about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, your happy ending.
Happy ending. So when we moved to San Angelo, I decided one day I wanted to buy Carlos Castanada's books, Teachings of Don Juan, The Separate Reality. I'd read those books back in the 70s, and I thought, well, I want to go through them again, So there was this bookstore, and I'm talking about, you walk in and it's just piles of books and books and books and books and books. So I walked through and getting through this, looking. I don't even know where to look and everything. And there's this this older lady. I mean, I'd say she had to have been in her 70s, mid 70s, I'd say. And oh, can I help you? And I'm like, oh yeah. I said, I'm looking for some books by Carlos Castaneda. And I started to explain one of the titles. She goes, oh, I know where they're at.
Yeah, let me open the black curtain.
And, no, she walks out there someplace, and I hear her rummaging and everything. She comes back. She had 4 of the books. Teachings, Separate Reality. No, 3 of them. And Journey to Ixtlan. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And in the back of the bookstore was her home. Okay. And so I said, yeah, well, what do you want from him? She said, oh, come on back here and I'll figure it all up, everything. So I walk in the back. It's kind of like going to Aunt Lou's.
Yeah.
And I walk in the back and everything.
Get yourself a candy bar.
Yeah.
Okay, Aunt Lou.
And so I'm standing there and I look and I'm like, she's got a massage table there. And so I'm, looking around and there's these pictures of this gymnast or circus high wire person,
Uh-huh.
Turns out it was her.
Oh, wow.
And she was in really great shape and phenomenally beautiful. Okay.
For a 70-year-old?
No, the pictures.
Oh.
I mean, she was still, I would say kind of pretty.
Yeah.
But, she's 76 and I'm not interested in 76, right? Okay. So anyhow, just offhand, I says, somebody do massages here? She says, oh, no, I do massages. And I'm like, really? I says, so, what do you charge for a massage? She says, I charge $25 for a massage, and for an extra $5, I do a happy ending. I'm like, my jaw drops.
Now I understand why you got these Don Juan moves here.
And I went home and I told Liz that story. Like, you're not going to believe this. I said that she said for $5 more, I'll do a happy ending.
You probably she probably knows what that means, obviously.
Of course
but she's
she knows.
Like, and for $5 more, I'll get a happy ending.
Now, dude, wait a minute. When she said this, and I forgot to mention this, she says, for $5 more, I'll do a happy ending.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. And I'm like, that's the point. My jaw just dropped. I'm like, I'll give you an example of what that was like. Liz went to the store one day, and I asked her, "Hey, pick up some fried chicken at Walmart. You know, let's just have some chicken. I don't want to cook or anything like it." And I saw her come down the road, and I thought, well, I'll meet her and see if she needs anything to, get out of the car and everything. I literally opened up the door, and I stepped down onto the first landing, and I'm looking on the ground on the deck here, or the front porch, and my mind cannot figure out what I'm seeing because it was unrealistic. And what had happened was Liz had tripped, and the chicken went all over everything, and my mind's taking in the chicken, and what is that? And it literally took me a few seconds to gather up and like, oh my God, Liz, are you okay? Because my mind, I registered this. My mind didn't know what the hell it was looking at. And then
What did you do with the chicken?
Yeah, why did you drop the chicken?
Get up and pick that.
Where's the dogs at? Let's get this before we go. But that's exactly I mean, when she said that and did that little motion, I'm like, it didn't register. I guess I wasn't mature enough. Because
And then you're like, okay, let me just put the address down here.
Yeah, no, I said, well, I think I paid $1 a piece for the books, and I'm out of there, man. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I couldn't wait to tell Liz that one.
Oh, wow. That would be an awkward moment for me.
It's just right out of the ether. I wasn't expecting that. It just didn't fit the genre.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a fun time. Yeah.
But, we're all always looking for a bargain.
Make it 2.5 and I'll do it.
I'll give you 2.5 and some turnips.
To be honest with you, I was thinking, well, I mean, the massage, I'm thinking, well, shoot, I could bring Liz down here and let her get a nice massage and everything. But when she did that, I just... Yeah, no, we'll find her a day spa.
You just might want to tone that kind of advertising down a little bit there, you young woman.
Oh, geez, that was amazing.
Oh, God.
I actually liked San Angelo. We almost bought a house there,
Uh-huh.
and it was kind of nice. It was a one-level spread house. Had the cool Mexican tile in it,
Oh, yeah.
all the way through it, and the property went right down to the Concho River.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I mean it was probably 1.5 acres, but it went right to the river. It was right on the river, and it was in my book, it was a good price.
Mm-hmm.
But so we had gone as far as put earnest money down. We put $500 down.
Yeah.
And we were going through the motion, and Liz like, I don't want to live in Texas. And I went, all right. So we lost $500, but it was probably worth it,
Yeah.
It was a cool house. I loved it. But what I liked was meeting, like the ranchers,
Mm-hmm.
I had an in with the ranchers because one of the guys that worked for me, his wife had an aunt that lived in San Angelo, and she had been married to a big-time rancher around there, and everybody knew this guy, and they knew her. Matter of fact, she taught me how to dance the two-step. That lady. Yeah, I got invited to a place outside of San Angelo called the Owl's Nest. Yeah, the Owl's Nest. It's just a one of those bars out in the middle of nowhere, and that's where all the ranchers would come and they'd dance and stuff like that. And so Greg and her name was Lydia, but everybody called her Squirrel. And I said, why do we call her Squirrel? And he goes, well, when I first met her, I said, she's got a nice tail. So
And for an extra $5.
they took me out there and they said, we've been telling her aunt, I forgot her name, we've been telling her all about you and we want you to meet her and stuff like that. So we went out there and she had her own table, a big long table, and everybody's sitting at it and she's sitting at the front and everything. And so, I get introduced and everything. And this is before Liz had moved down. And so we, I'm drinking beer and, talking to people and having a great time. And she comes up behind me and says, you know how to dance? I'm like, not at all. She goes, get up. I'm going to teach you.
Oh, yeah.
And so I get up with her aunt and she says, it's real simple. It's a two-step. And she showed me it was real simple. And we danced around. I said, man, I really appreciate that. She was quite a formidable woman in that community. So it was kind of cool. But I got to meet other ranchers. And I told you about the two guys that they had another.
Oh, the truck.
Yeah, another place in the middle of nowhere. They set up they put up an awning so that you could get out of the sun. And all they did that spot is, these guys would roll up in their truck and they'd play washers.
Oh,
you ever played washers?
I don't think I have.
Well, it's kind of like the beanie bag thing, except they use washers and, it's like horseshoes, except it's washers.
Right.
And so I learned how to play washers with these guys. And that's where those two guys had those, come walking up and they're like, I'd see these two, obviously 250 Fords, but they've got 350 on them. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen a 350 that small, because that's a 1-ton truck.
Yeah.
These are 3/4 ton. And you can tell the difference. So I asked this one guy, I says, man, that's a interesting 350 you got there. I've never seen one quite that small. And he goes, it's not, it's a 250. But we ordered the 350 because then we don't have to wear seatbelts. And that guy I was talking to, he had like 80,000 acres of land. Other guy had 60,000. Guy that was a cousin to Squirrel, he had like 40. And I'm like, oh no, he had 4,000. He had 4,000. These guys were big time ranchers, okay? But I asked him, I says, how in the world do you pay taxes on 4,000 acres? He says, 6 cows. That's all you need in Texas. I'm like, okay.
Well, now, you learn how many acres per cow.
Right.
And it's a stink.
And that's
in Texas, 60,000 acres, you can do 10 cows.
10 cows. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, his business, he had cows.
Yeah.
But his business was hunting.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is out there now.
Yeah.
Sure, they raise cattle and that's all. That's what it's about. But I asked him, I says, well, what do you charge for people to hunt your property? And he says, it's $400 a gun. At that time, I'm sure it's more than that now. It's $400 a gun, and it's $100 for every point on the deer, on the buck.
Wow.
I'm like, wow. And you might see one, you might not. You're out $400.
But that's seasonal, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's seasonal. Yeah.
So I got to tell you, there was a place just out of San Angelo that they had elk. Mm-hmm. Okay, and in Texas, those are called exotics. You don't have to have a license to hunt them. You can go on their place and hunt them and stuff like that. But the thing is if one gets out, then it's anybody's.
Okay, sure.
And it doesn't matter what time of year it is. And I remember hearing about this place, an elk got out of their property, and it was like an army that ran out there to get this thing. You should have seen them Texas and them duo trucks. Let's get that elk. I saw two guys, they were just excited at the gas pump. Yeah, we're going to go get that elk. I'm like, wow. So, but West Texas has a lot of good people out there. Lots of good people in Texas. I just don't agree at all with their politics, but that's because they're letting people tell them what to do. But the rest of it's great place.
Yeah,
It's good people.
Yeah.
So I told you about Jeremy came down that one time, and they had a semi-pro hockey team there. It was called the San Angelo Outlaws. Okay, the guy that owned the team was from Green Bay.
Okay.
Okay, and he was a Packers fan. And if you look at the logo of the San Angelo Outlaws, and I didn't even notice, Jeremy pointed that out. It's got a Green Bay, but the G is upside down. Buckle, But anyhow, I went to one of the games and I'm like, wow, really good hockey. Well, you got to think about it. All the guys on these teams, they're either Division I players or they're European League or they're IHL, ex-IHL. They're guys that they played the levels,
Yeah.
Probably not the NHL, not the real show. So you're looking at really good hockey. These guys are good.
Yeah.
But that's not what the Texans wanted. I remember first time I went, I'm like, they're playing this great hockey, and I'm like enjoying it. It was really good stuff. And then all of a sudden, it just got into a fight. I'm like, what? And the whole place went crazy. I mean, the whole place went crazy. They're, look at him, get him.
What the heck?
Yeah, they like the fighting. That's what they equated hockey to, is the fighting.
The fighting.
Yeah. So Jeremy.
Just like NASCAR, the wrecks.
Yeah. I'm not here to watch the race. I want to see somebody, see these spectacular wrecks. Well, anyhow, Jeremy comes down and I said, man, I'm going to take you to a hockey game. And so he had the same impression. He's like, wow, these guys are really good. I said, well, think about who they are and where they're at and where they came from. And so the first period was really good hockey. It was kind of a what do you call those games? It doesn't matter because they're not in the league. They're not in any of the playoffs. It was one of those games that they just had to play and that was it, right?
Right.
I think it was the Austin Ice Bats that were playing against these guys. So yeah, we're watching this whole thing, and first period, great hockey. Second period, they come, they go in, then they come out, and then they kind of make a couple runs around the ice and stuff. And I looked at that and I says, yeah, we're going to get a fight. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I saw this guy looking at that guy, and they kind of nodded at each other.
Okay, on cue.
Yeah, because it's like the end of the season. Nobody wants to get hurt.
Yeah.
But you got to keep the crowd happy. And sure enough, man, those two lined up, and they're the two first line centers, and they lined up, and they're going after each other before the puck gets dropped, and the puck gets dropped, and they both drop their gloves, and they just go at it, and the whole place went crazy. And there's a guy sitting there with this little kid. I mean, probably about 3, maybe 2.5, and he's got him holding up. Look, son, they're fighting. Jeremy's like, oh my God.
Learn from this.
He goes, oh my God. I said, yeah, that's the way it goes down here. That's what people want to see.
How much additional compensation did the boys get for that?
Who knows? But it kept the crowd happy, and that's all right. No, I give San Angelo credit. You got a hockey team, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that can't be said everywhere.
With an upside down Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it was kind of fun, but I enjoyed it. Liz hated Texas, but she was in a different world with the Texas medical stuff. I mean, they made her an assistant director of nursing at this big nursing home complex, new. And she ended up having to do all the paperwork. Texas has what's called tiles or something like that, and it's a billing program and stuff like that. She had to do all that, and her director of nursing, well, she just sounded like a complete asshole, and so it was wearing on her, and we come up here to visit, and we're talking to her grandmother, and her grandmother looked at Liz and says, you either love Texas or you hate it. There's no in between.
Yeah.
And
There's no warming up to it.
I guess I loved it because I had experience in San Antonio, and I loved San Antonio. And but she didn't have a good experience there, and so she started telling me you need to be looking around for something else, and I got that job at St. Paul.
Yeah.
And that was fun. So I got my job, got it all cleared to have the job and everything. And I was telling everybody, I said, look, I'm going to be leaving. I'd only been there for 1 year and 3 months. Well, I used to like to say 1 year, 3 months, 4 days, and 2 hours. That's how long I was in Texas. But I told them, I says, I took another job in Minnesota. And, I think they didn't like that because they, I think I did a fair job down there. But so what I did was I pulled up a picture of one of the Minnesota Gophers. Oh no, that's not true. I had a picture of Jason when he played for Minot. And the cool thing about Minot was they had the same uniforms as the Minnesota Gophers. It had a big M on it and same colors.
Yeah.
And a matter of fact, they got a discount because Minnesota, bought theirs, and because they ordered basically the same thing, they got a discount on their jerseys and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a picture of Jason, and he's got his skates and stuff, and he's got this big M on there, and it's. If you looked at it, you'd say, well, that's Minnesota. And so I asked Liz, I says, hey, why don't you come over to the house or come over to the office, and I want to show you something. And one of my staff, Gail, she kind of ushered Liz in and everything. She knew what was going on. I told her what I was going to do and everything. And so I'm talking to Liz, and Liz is talking to Gail, and we're talking and everything. And I said, hey, I want to show you something. She says, what is it? I said, what do you think of this picture of Jason? And she goes, yeah, that's nice. I had it on my screensaver. I says, well, check out the uniform. And she goes, yeah. I says, well, get used to it. I says, that's what you're going to be seeing.
Oh, she didn't know you had secured this position.
Yeah. I told her I'd put in for it, but I just got the word that day that I got the job. And she looks at it and she goes, tears start welling up in her eyes. I'm like, yeah, baby, we're going to Minnesota.
Oh my God,
so
how cool is
that? That was kind of fun, yeah. That was
how
fun.
cool is that?
And I think one of the highlights of living in Minnesota and living in St. Paul was Liz and I used to walk around Lake Phelan, which was just a few blocks away from the house. And we got up early one Saturday morning and we're walking along, and there were a bunch of reservists out there. They were going to do their annual 1.5 or 2 mile whatever thing that the Army makes you do every year to make sure you're breathing and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
And these guys are all out in their Army, their gym shorts and jackets and stuff, and it says Army on it and all this stuff. And they're all hoo-ah and all that stuff, out there getting prepped to run and everything. And so as we're walking along, there's this lady walking just ahead of us, and she stops, and she's looking at these guys. And she's like, what is going on here? And I says, oh, well, when I caught up to her, I said, well, these guys are Army, probably Reserve. I says, they're doing their annual fitness run to, they have to do it every year. And she says, oh. And so Liz and I start to take off. She catches up. We start walking and talking and everything. And so we get around. She says, yeah, I live right over here, just off the lake here. I said, oh, that's cool. And I said, I love Lake Phelan, and so we come around the corner and we're coming up the hill and everything, and somehow we got on we got to talking about hockey, and I said, yeah, North Dakota is where my kids play hockey and all this stuff. She says, yeah, and she just offhand says, yeah, well, my brother's Herb Brooks, and I stop. And we all stop, and I look at her and I says, you said your brother's Herb Brooks? And she goes, well, yeah, he's not God. I went, in my house, he's God. And you know who Herb Brooks is?
No.
He coached the Miracle on Ice team, the 1980 Olympic hockey team, USA hockey team that beat the Russians.
Okay.
He's the guy. I mean, probably not in your world means anything, but in the hockey world, okay, there's Earth, there's the sky, there's God, and then there's Herb. Okay? And so I just looked at her, I'm like, you're telling me your brother is Herb Brooks? Yeah. And so because of that and getting to know her, I remember, so I'm all excited, okay? And, we met up with her. I never got to meet her husband because he was always out of town for some reason. But anyhow, we met up with her again, and I'm telling people at work, I met Herb Brooks' sister, and I says, I'm going to get to meet Herb Brooks, and I was. She was going to introduce us to her, and I'm like, hoping my sphincter holds.
What kind of gift can I lay at his altar?
Yeah, I know. Hoping my sphincter holds because I'm about to crap my pants, and it wasn't. It wasn't a week later. One of my staff comes in to my office and says, "Hey Joe, I got some bad news for you." And I'm like, "What is it?" Herb Brooks died. I'm like, "Are you kidding? He got killed on. He's coming back from Duluth and a golf thing, and something happened and he crashed on the road and he died." But because of my our connection, she called me and invited us to Herb's wake. So we went to his wake, and all these hockey stars, everybody, they're all there.
Yeah.
And not to mention his team, but all these hockey stars are there. I mean, they had to have it at the, what they call, I think it's the riverfront downtown St. Paul. They had to have it in this, that's where the hockey arena is at. They had to have it in there. It was so big.
Yeah.
It was an honor.
Wow.
To be there. And I'm like, wow, And I'm thinking, I just wish my boys could be here. They would just, but didn't work out that way. So, right. But she gave us a autographed picture of Herb, of the hockey team. It shows them out on the ice when they won the against the Russians, and signed it.
Now I remember that game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I remember that. I mean, that was big. That was
that's
a big whoop to do.
That's when the United States started screaming USA, USA, because it's like they said, Herb said 9 out of 10 times we'd lose.
Yeah.
But he's telling them not this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still makes me emotional.
Yeah.
But we just lived at the right place at the right time, and I would have loved to have met him, but that's fine. That's okay. Just to be that close was, far enough.
Yeah.
Far enough.
Well, what's your game plan today?
Well, I mowed yesterday thinking, well, maybe it's going to rain. Yesterday was perfect for mowing, buddy.
It was.
Did you mow?
I did not.
You missed it, man. It was beautiful.
Because it was my birthday and I wasn't going.
Was it your birthday? Oh, that's right. It was your birthday. Happy whatever. How old you
are.
are.
Whatever.
I don't know. How close are you to 65?
2 years away now.
Oh, you'll get your lifetime fishing license. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, you're not ever going to get it.
But you're going to have a problem. I don't think they made up a birth certificate for you, so because when you're found.
I still got my original hospital certificate.
The black one?
No, I didn't get a black one. Mine's got my little footy prints on it.
Oh, no, yeah. Foo-foo.
Yeah, but
I still have the one from 1956 that was I don't even know how they did those things.
Memorographed.
Memorographed, yeah.
It was memorographed.
Yeah, and it wasn't good enough. I had to ask Oregon to send me one, a new one, because when I was getting my CDL, they wouldn't accept. I'm like, I got in the military with this. Yeah, well, you're going to have to get a real one. So when I got my CDL, I had to before I got it, I had to get the.
Well, that happened to me too. When I was getting a passport, they wouldn't accept my little footy print one. no, you need a real birth certificate.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, well, it's pretty real to me. Look, that's my footing prints on there.
Those are my feet.
And I don't know if you got one. I think I'm the only one that got a silver spoon. Did you get a silver spoon from the hospital? That's right. I got a silver spoon. It's got my name on it. It's got the date.
What hospital were you born in?
Douglas.
Community?
Yeah.
Well, I was born in Dr. Vandemark's office.
Well, you didn't get no spoon.
Yeah, and neither did Mary because she was born in the same
tongue
place.
Depressor or suppository.
I got his finger up my ass
You get a finger up your pooper.
when I ended up having to get my appendix out. That was my first experience with butt play.
Vandemar's finger was probably this.
No, I think it was about as big around as that because that's what it felt like.
Or more like this.
Yeah. Yep, he made me get up on the examining table and I had to pull my pants down and I'm like, what's going on here? And did he put some kind of thing on his finger? I think he just stuck his finger in the KY
slather juice,
and
axle
he's
grease.
Comes towards me. Yep, it's swollen bad. We got to get him to the hospital.
It's like last time I was at Vandemar was the Carrick's dog chewing my hand up.
Yeah.
Had to get stitches for that.
Was that Boston?
Yeah, a little Boston Terrier. That's why I hate Boston Terrier.
I love Bostons.
Yeah, stupid
But
little bastard.
I will never have one because they fart like you can't imagine.
Oh, Rebecca reports out all the time about little Zelda.
Tia's got a Boston. And so when I went out to see Dave, I stopped at Tia's first to, stay the night. And so I hook up my CPAP, next to the bed. Well, she keeps him caged, or whatever they call it, at night in this cage, and it was right next to it, okay? The CPAP was. So here I am, I'm sleeping, all of a sudden I wake up, oh God, I pulled this thing, what in the world? And Tia just loves
sticking her butt in the intake.
Tia just loves this. I'm like, oh my God. He farted straight into my CPAP. Oh my God. She just loves that. She thinks that's the best. I'm like, after that, I moved it on the other side and put it under the covers.
I had to put it under my pillow.
He just stunk the whole place up.
Yeah, Rebecca talks about Zelda, and well, she's had two. She had Daisy, and now she has Zelda. They're both Boston Terriers, and she talks about them farting all the time.
Yeah.
These dogs just
I like
gas bags.
I like my Jada, my little cockapoo, because I'm telling you, I've seen this 2 or 3 times. She'll, she's got to go to the bathroom. I'll be at the door, and all of a sudden, I hear this, eep, and she's looking around. Who did that? Open the door. She runs out to the yard. What was that? She don't even know she's farting. She is so foo-foo. It's so funny to watch. She's like, I don't know what that was.
That reminds me of that Family Guy episode where Peter, he says, I don't think I've ever farted until I was 30. What was that?
What's his name on the redneck tour with Fox and White?
Ron White.
Yeah, and those guys. So it's the other guy. I can't think.
Larry?
No, not
There's
Larry.
Larry, Ben, Bill, and
Bill.
Colt.
It's Bill.
Yeah.
Bill. So I was listening to this thing, and I love it when they do these. They'll have some woman standing there, and then you'll hear this comedian, and it's Bill, and he says, "She farts now," and everybody starts laughing. And the girl on the reel laughing too at the.
Oh yeah, they're showing pictures, family pictures.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah. He says when we got before we got married, it just never happened ever, but now it does. And he says, and then it's got like certain sounds. He says, we got in the car the other day and. She gets buckled up and we're heading out, and all of a sudden we hear this squirrel. And he goes, and he says, I look over and she's not even acting like anything else. He says, say, I think your butt is talking to us. No, it's not.
It's imparting some wisdom.
I'm sure it just said squirrel. And she goes, no. And then he says, then she toots again, and the kids in the back are like, tell Mom to stop, it stinks in here.
That's so funny about, because you never heard Mom toot.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did.
I think once, maybe twice.
No.
But Dad,
oh yeah,
he'd clear a room.
Oh, I know. I know.
Like, what did you eat? Did you just pick up some roadkill and cook that up?
Him? Probably.
Yeah. Well, probably should get out of here.
Well, thanks, brother, for breakfast again.
Yeah.
Just want to let you know this is the last one. We kind of cleaned up that C note.
Yeah, and if you're up to sending another Benjamin, we'll happily spend it.
Oh.
We'll help you spend your money. All right, guys, have a great day. Have a good day.
Peace out.